name's Beth. Yeah.
And in your own words, could you tell us what's happening in Tigray?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, put simply, it's a genocide in the 21st century. We're seeing, all these different mechanisms used by the Ethiopian government in this state-sponsored genocide, and also in alliance with the Eritrean dictator. We're seeing food being used as a weapon of war, rape being used as a weapon of war, mass starvation, deliberate starvation, ethnic cleansing. This is, it's not just within Tigray, but also the wider Ethiopia. We're seeing, ethnic cleansing in parts of Ethiopia, such as Addis, a mass imprisonment. So really, this is a war not just on Tigray, but on Tigrayans as a whole. Yeah, that's what I would say.
How are you finding the situation affecting you personally?
It's odd because I think one of the toughest things about knowing that there's a genocide happening against your people is that you still have to get up, go to work, go to school, uni, whatever it is, live life as normal, and essentially go about everything as if it's normal when in reality you know what's happening to your family, to your people. So it's odd. I mean, my concept of time has definitely been distorted. I feel like life kind of came to a pause 18 months ago, and ever since then you kind of feel like you're in limbo mode. It's odd. It's really not something that's easy to describe. You, like I said, you have to go through things normally, but this is something that's always, I can't even say it's at the back of your mind, it's at the forefront of your mind. Little things like, your friendships begin to change. You start to distance yourself. You start to sort of trauma bond with people that can only understand what you're going through, and you start to sort of withdraw. And it definitely has impacted my day-to-day living and life, and it's something that just doesn't leave you in general.
How do you feel about the fact that this conflict and genocide has been largely ignored by the world's media and institutions?
Yeah, no, it's I think that's what makes most of this frustrating, even if it were sort of extended to the international community as a whole. Institutions such as the UN, which it's not as if they don't know what's going on or aren't aware. It definitely is frustrating. I think, you learn about past genocides and conflicts, and you wonder how they were able to happen without intervention, and you kind of think to yourself, well, hang on, that's exactly what's happening here. And it definitely is frustrating. We see coverage of other conflicts, and we see how the individuals there are humanized. If we look at the language that's used to talk about, for example, the victims of Ukraine, for example, and just how they're humanized, and rightfully so, and the condemnation that's used there. It's a bit frustrating because not only is that not the case with Tigray, but there's minimal coverage in general. So yeah, it's really frustrating. It's the only way to put it.
What would you say to the wider population here and abroad about sort of activism and what they can and should be doing?
Yeah, I think first of all, definitely acknowledge that there is with Tigray, there hasn't been as much sort of news coverage as there should be, but there is access to information. There are tools online, even social media. There are so many Twitter campaigns. All you have to do is pop in hashtag Tigray genocide into your Twitter search bar, and you have everything at your fingertips. So I would really say, humanize the people of Tigray. Care for them too. We need to help be a voice for the voiceless. What Tigrayans don't want, especially Tigrayans in diaspora, we don't want words of apologies once it's too late. We don't want, it's a shame that this happened once it's too late. There's something that can be done about it now. And I think if people not when I say people, but if the wider public, were to mobilise and to help mobilise and take a stand against this, it definitely is something that could be done. I think sometimes people think to themselves, what am I going to do? How can I make an impact, and how can I stop genocide? But it's one of those things where collectively, we need to mobilise and take a stand and essentially help with this movement in bringing an end to this genocide. At the end of the day, if we don't, nobody else will. So yeah.
Those are all the questions I have, but is there anything else that you would like to say, any message you would like to send that's on your mind?
Not really. I would really just say, like I said, I would really just urge those who can to really look into this and help us. At the end of the day, this can happen to anyone. Life can change in the blink of an eye, and for us, especially Tigrayans, unfortunately, this isn't necessarily the first time we've had something like this, but at the end of the day, it's a really tough one, and if it can happen to us, it can happen to anyone. If you've ever wondered how past genocides happened and past conflicts happened and how they were able to happen without the world intervening, really challenge yourself, because this is another example of that. That's what I'd say pretty much.